Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a really cool review for you from the micro brand Prometheus. Now they were founded back in 2018. They are a micro brand with a real vintage kind of 60s and 70s design aesthetic that really focuses on evolving those classic designs while also of course taking advantage of today's modern manufacturing improvements. Now although this is the first Prometheus that has been reviewed on the channel, their sister brand Borealis has actually made a few appearances. So I would say that they definitely are very similar in that they are kind of updated models. I feel like the Prometheus line definitely has a bit more originality to them, and I think maybe even offer kind of a more high-end feel. And I think this watch in particular, of course, hits all of those marks. Now, the type of watch this is a dive watch. Some key common characteristics in design language. When you're looking for a dive watch, normally you'll find, of course, water resistance, normally through some type of screw down crown. You're gonna want something tough, legible, with a dive time bezel and a diver's extension if on bracelet. Now, this particular model in the Eagle Ray definitely has all of those key features in spades. It's really, I'd say, a classic cushion case diver that's been modernized with that dual crown, dual bezel feature. So you do have, of course, the classic unidirectional outer bezel, and then now an actual inner bidirectional bezel that can actually keep track of another time zone with that 12-hour index there. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this piece in hand for a closer look. Okay. Now, as you can see, really handsome piece, and I think you'll be able to tell there that there's a lot of lume on this bad boy. This thing really feels like a tool diver. Now, the price on these are actually, of course, direct, as most micro brands are. This is going to be just under $500 at $499.50, and of course, you could do also a pre-order with a 50% deposit down there. And these do tend to sell out pretty quick, so you will have to check their site to see the availability on this particular setup, as there are quite a few different variants, which we'll cover kind of throughout the review. These are estimated to deliver in between March and May, basically if everything goes to plan, March 2019, and then, you know, if there's any delays, pretty much they know that it could push out, extending out to May. Now, as far as the specs here, they did flash across the screen earlier, but just to kind of touch on it, this is a 42 millimeter diameter with a 14.75 height and a 49 millimeter lug to lug there. This is, of course, constructed out of 316L surgical grade stainless steel. It does have a sapphire crystal with inner AR coating, and it is double domed, as you can see from this angle there. Very little to no distortion, so reads quite well and is very, very legible. Now the bezel here, the outer classic bezel there, the unidirectional, is a nice 120 click. Really no back play at all. Super nice, and then of course is fully lumed. And then the nice feature here is you actually have a screw down crown to control this awesome 12-hour bezel, so you can actually track a different time zone without even changing anything as far as your timing goes in your handset, which I think is always a really nice, useful feature. I'd say almost probably more useful than even the dive time bezel, which I do use to time things, but as far as like everyday practicality, I'd say it's definitely you know, the 12-hour bezel is really useful. It's really nice to see that actually having both here. I can't think of another model that actually has kind of consolidated those two feature sets. If not, you know, it didn't stand out very much, but I think this one definitely does. As you can see, it does have that kind of Doxa-esque silhouette to it, but it definitely doesn't look like necessarily any particular Doxa and you know, those classic cushion style divers from that era all did kind of have that look. There's quite a few manufacturers that kind of came out with that particular style, to include Seiko, Certina, etc. So, and then of course other brands that aren't around anymore. One of the nice things here also is you do have signed crowns. They are nicely knurled, really great grip, as you saw, really easy to actuate and articulate, even with these gloves here, both signed, which is really cool. And then you have the movement inside, although you can't see it. It is an ETA 2824. This model has been lightly loved because it is, of course, a pre-production model. This was sent over by the brand, and this is actually kind of on tour here and is a prototype. So as you guys know, obviously, I can't go around purchasing prototypes. So whenever I do kind of do a preview or a review of a prototype, it's something that's lent in, and definitely for me in this case, I had a chance to check this out and I really wanted to. One, because I've always been very interested in the Prometheus brand, but also two, because this particular model did stand out as something kind of special, and I definitely wanted to kind of get a taste of those finishings there. As you can see, that fine bevel, really great sharp transitions. I definitely wanted to get kind of a look for myself because these are so well regarded in the micro brand community, and as you guys know, I'm a big fan of independent micro brands, particularly dive watches. So this is powered by the ETA 2824-2, of course. Really nicely done here. It does not have a see-through case back, but it is nicely etched there. As you can see, it all kind of fits in there with that diver theme. As far as the dial goes, everything is applied, super thickly applied at that when we are referring to the Lume. It is a really nice kind of matte satin black. Not super, I'd say, I wouldn't call it super matte because it's not like it has any type of grainy texture to it. It's just a very flat, more satiny black, I'd say, and definitely reads as black. Maybe, depending on the light, it almost can look like a deep charcoal as well. But that's kind of depending on the lighting situations here. So it does have the framed date window there, as you can see, at the 3 o'clock. And then the Lume itself is actually, of course, Swiss-made RC Tritech C3X1 Lume, which is basically, one of the newer variants and formulas for C3. So this is going to burn extremely bright and really hold a charge and have, of course, that great initial brightness that you'll see in many other C3 watches. So really cool from that standpoint, and we'll definitely get to that in that low light transition. Now, as far as the bracelet goes, as you can see, this is 22 millimeter lug width, and this does taper down to about 20 millimeters. It does have that 5-link style there. I actually did not adjust this particular bracelet because I unscrewed it and I think there was a bit of glue still inside here. So I'm not going to do like a super well-fitting kind of on the wrist portion, but I will kind of drape it over so you guys can get an idea there. This thing is definitely wears super comfortable. The only reason I didn't really want to dig too much into the bracelet as far as adjusting it goes is because it is a prototype and does still need to kind of make the rounds. So I didn't want to damage anything or any threading because I don't know if he has replacement links. So I just went ahead and kind of left that alone. But I'm sure it's probably just a little Loctite that's in there that might have gummed up. And it's kind of keeping the links a bit sticky when I am trying to remove them. But as you can see here, it does have this really great, super solid milled clasp, ratcheting really nicely there. Great finishing, as you can see, the two-tone with the brushed and polished, really nicely done. And then you do have the great micro adjust there, so you are able to really dial that in. That's one of the things that I think is kind of a miss when there's not a micro adjust and then you have longer links. In this case, you have both short links and micro adjust. So I have a feeling if I was able to adjust this, it would really be able to be dialed in super nicely. So with that said, let's go ahead and try it out on the wrist. Okay, now as you can see, wears really well on my 7¼ inch wrist. And then I come up close, really nicely done. Still plenty of room here, as you can see, to tighten it up. But this thing really drapes super nicely and is very, very comfortable. And of course, you know, that classic cushion case design. A little bit shorter, kind of lug to lug, but still has great presence. And I think makes it a lot more versatile for any wrist there. You know, you can see with a little bit more of my arm in the frame, it definitely looks a bit more proportional versus when it's going to be up close. There's going to be a little bit of distortion, of course, from the lens of the camera and the kind of wristy proportion there optically. But I can assure you this thing wears like an absolute dream, as you can see. And then those really fine bezels, super nice, especially considering that this has made the rounds. And as you can see, there are some definite signs of love here from kind of being passed around and repacked and packaged a few times before it got here. But I gotta say, this thing is very, very impressive. So let's go ahead and move on to some Lume shots. All right, let's go ahead and hit the lights. And as you can see, that is absolutely just tremendously bright. That C3 with that basically X1 kind of update there. Very, very nice. It's definitely could sit here like this for quite some time. I'll even kind of leave it dark for a little bit longer so you can actually see that it's not going to fade very easily because of how thickly it's applied. One of the really nice touches on this Lume ceramic bezel insert is that you do have the actual full 60-minute index there, so you can actually see all of those little Lume plops all along the way. Really nicely done. And of course, even at a prototype level, considering how well this is done, I can only imagine that the production model will be even better equipped. So really plus on that standpoint. And you can see that Lume second hand, of course, going all the way around. Now let's go ahead. I mean, that thing is still staying quite bright, but let's go ahead and get a little bit of Lume here, a little bit of that low light transition. As you can see, quite gorgeous. That Lume, just really nicely done. Because you're not always going to spend your time, you know, in a well lit, you know, outdoor situation. From time to time, you're going to be going indoors. You're going to be going into a vehicle, out of a vehicle, indoors, outdoors, that whole shebang. You know, basically you're gonna get an idea here. Also, you can see those fine finishings, really nice, and that gorgeous Lume just beating away, doing its job. Absolutely fantastic, really nicely done. Super impressed with that Lume. I could probably just leave that on and you guys could just drool away at that forever. But of course, I don't want to ramble on too long. I do that pretty easily without any special Lume to stare at. Now, on the wrist, of course, it does have those very Doxa-like proportions that do wear really well and are still very popular, even though many wrists kind of watches are trending to be downsized. I think at 42 millimeters, it's really the right size. Plus, with that kind of inner slide bezel, it does shrink down the dial, which also help with the proportions visually. So although it does have quite a bit of presence there, the visual weight isn't quite as massive as you might think because of the design kind of weight and the metal of it all. You know, all the materials, the sapphire, the ceramic, all that steel, all those links, everything solid pins, extra crown. I mean, there's a lot to love, especially with that 300 meters water resistance. Of course, it's going to be built to a very nice standard and be very tough and rugged feeling. Definitely is a really nice tool watch, and it doesn't pretend to be anything else than that. Even the functionality of the additional time zone tracking is definitely more of a tool feature than something that's going to just be a super handsome design feature, but although I do think that they pulled it off really, really well. As far as model variants go, they do have, of course, this is the black dial. There's also a meteor dial, a nice, really deep blue dial on the darker side, which I really, really like. They do have a silver dial and also white dial options. Then you also have the choice of doing it with a date or without a date window. And then the really cool thing is they even have kind of a little bit more upstream model, which is going to be kind of a full 24-hour GMT with the 2893-2 powering it, which is really cool. So you're going to have the extra hand. So you're going to be able to track multiple time zones now at once actively, which is really, really great. Now, as far as comparable models go, of course, apart from aesthetics, it's actually pretty tough to really think of something that's going to be so feature rich in the same price range. I mean, at under $500 or just about 500, or I mean, you guys let me know what other watches are going to offer you kind of this bevy of solid everything, multi-link everything, extra crown, extra nice sharp knurling and finishing, dual bezel, just dual functionality, and you know, it's just really fully loaded. So as far as aesthetics go, there's probably quite a few watches, of course, Doxa, Seiko Turtle. They're going to give you a similar look. But I think as far as specs go, this is something that's pretty special, and I think it's actually quite useful, and I'm pretty impressed. Although it's, you know, I probably would have preferred if I could have checked out the dark blue version. I think this black looks really quite nice, and of course is going to be ultra versatile, because you can wear it, you know, with you know, a deeper, darker color palette that doesn't necessarily need a lot of blues. I tend to wear jeans a lot, so you know, blues are always work for me, but I know for not everybody. Of course, you know, if you're wearing, you know, a white shirt and some tan shorts or khakis or something like that, this is going to be something that's going to be just a little bit more versatile from that standpoint, and really just super nicely put together. So really nicely done from Prometheus. Definitely looking forward to seeing what comes next from this brand. They do a lot of limited runs that kind of sell out at the pre-order phase, and once they're shipped out, there's just a lot of happy customers. So I'd say the final word, the bottom line, if you like this aesthetic, I'd say you'll definitely be able to appreciate kind of the fully loaded package, you know, because this does have all those modern niceties that you'd expect from a value proposition leader like Prometheus. They're pretty much known for building tool watches, overbuilt tool watches that are quite handsome and just fully loaded. I mean, they normally just have it all. You're not going to see them cut any corners and cheap out on anything. Really, the place where they cut corners and save money is probably in their design studio, because they will use open forums and kind of really discuss with their actual direct market. You know, the people who want to buy these watches, they're working directly with them to kind of figure out what aesthetic they're looking for, what they like, and what will sell. Versus a watch that might save a little money with a different crystal, you know, adding some cheaper mineral, or, you know, a aluminum bezel insert, or hollow end link, stuff like that. You know, those kind of cost-cutting techniques. You're not going to see that from a brand like this, and I think that's something that's really nice to find and quite refreshing. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.